So let's start with how you doing?
I'm doing great. Life's been good. Can't complain, you know. Been working a lot. Lots of family time, time with friends. It's been good, very balanced recently. I started on YouTube like 10 years ago out of boredom. It was like a natural progression from being in like the skate BMX space as a kid, like in high school. And then like my interest kind of pivoted because a lot of my friends that were in the BMX and skate culture were like either just doing it for fun or they were doing it like to try and go pro. And I realized like you can only do it for fun for so long. And I definitely wasn't going pro. Like it was just more of a fun thing for me. And my other interest besides that when I was around 14 was fashion. And I was just consuming endless amounts of it on the internet. It was like Tumblr, YouTube, all of that. But for YouTube, it was always like sneaker culture, and then Tumblr like was all the fashion I was enjoying, like Hood by Air, Pyrex, Virgil, like all that era. But no one was really like bringing it into context through video format. So that's where I decided to be like, hey, like maybe I could kind of be that vocal point and like talk about the things that are interesting me. So I started with that, and it kind of just snowball affected after like 10 years. I stopped just leaving the door to be at you guys are only gonna know me because of clothing. And then the moment I started vlogging, it's like you guys are gonna know me because of what I do in the clothes and my personality. So the moment that that happened, I feel like I let people into my personal life, which I never thought I would do before. But the moment that I did do it, it allowed them to connect with me so much more as a person and like to relate with me. And now I have this audience that feels like they're so much more connected with me because they feel like they know me as if they're my friends because they basically are, you know, like they grew up with me over the span of 10 years, some of them, if they started at the beginning, maybe 5, 2, maybe even just a year, but because I give them so much context and basis to go back and like watch back all these moments of my life, they feel like they know me, you know? So it was really valuable to start vlogging, and I'm really happy that I chose to do so. And it's things that I'm able to look back on. It's like a visual diary. You can never go back to these times, and like you never know when this like capsule of an era is going to end. I guess like the first bracket is kind of like your childhood, and then like your teens, and then now I'm in my 20s. And then like as that's starting to tail off, then you get like scared of your 30s. It's like always these like accolades that, or just like these milestones that you're just always scared of because you don't know what's behind the other door. So yeah, I guess that's what I was always scared of. Like I thought mentally when I was like, oh, if I once I hit 50, it's done. Like I'm just like I don't know what I'm gonna do after that. But you just always you just get more and more natural with it. I guess like we just always fear the unknown. I'm very career oriented, and it's like it's gone in the way of like personal life, like friendships, relationships, family. Like it's gone in the way of a lot of things. But at the core of it all, it's always been my dream to provide for others. So I naturally, my cadence is always to like, let me figure out what I got to do here in order to provide for others so that you guys get to be in this ecosystem of me being able to provide. Because that's like one of my favorite feelings ever is just being able to provide and like help people in situations that might not be the easiest for them. At moments where I'm at family outings and like we're going to dinner and like maybe someone comes up that supports the channel, it might not be the most appropriate time for us to like converse about fashion, you know, if I'm like in a family setting or like if I'm at a Christmas dinner and then I get a call about some type of campaign and like it's so like volatile if I don't take the opportunity. So there's always these things where it's hard to flip that switch on and off because it bleeds into such ends of the spectrum. But it would be like it would be dumb if I didn't turn it on in moments that it wasn't right at times, because then I would be losing opportunities, you know? So, or I'd be letting someone down. And like, that's something I really hate doing. Like any photo or any conversation that anyone's ever come up to me and approached me with, I've always taken it. Like that's something that I learned from Virgil actually, when I had my conversation with him like years ago, like before he passed. He was just like, I told him that I was grateful for him for doing that for me, because he has like the biggest and busiest day ever. And I was like, you made time for a person that doesn't really have much to show for it. At least I thought at the time. And I was just like super grateful for that. So then he was like, yo, like just make sure you carry that with you as well, because you never know what you could become. And you probably will do that for the next person. And it could be on a small scale, it could be on a large scale, but like opening those doors is so important. Like just giving that time to people that need it. Maybe even if they don't have the best circumstances, they're always going to make sure that I'm in the best position, or everyone around me is like in the best position possible within their means, you know? So that's where I got that trait from. My dad's very much like that, and my mom's more like that in the supportive aspect. My dad's more like, in terms of like, very gift giving and things like that. So that's kind of like my love language. I realized like I'm very like gift giving and like small little favors that amount to a lot. Sometimes people tell me I'm a bit too nice, but I gotta chill out. But it's for the greater good for sure. Yeah. My mom's always loved like the Cartier bracelet and like just that series in general, like the ring and whatever. And for Christmas, I remember I got her the ring, but I didn't tell her like that I got it, or like, I think I did it in a way where I went to the mall and I told her that I didn't tell her where we were going. We like walked past and then we just like walked in, and I told her like what I was gonna get her, and she's like broke down crying in the store. I'm like, it's not the place for that, but it was a beautiful moment for sure, because like I would have never dreamed I'd be able to provide that for the person that was able to provide for me, you know? And it might not be the same level of providing, but it was an experience where I got to see her get so emotional, where I don't normally get to see that all the time. So it was cool. I guess through like relationships, right? Like you kind of figure out about yourself and like what you notice you gravitate towards with others, and then also what your signs of emotional communications are. I noticed with me, I was very emotionally unavailable as a person, but then as I started to dissect it, I was like a bit more loose with it, and then I started to unpack what are my characteristics within that, and that's definitely one of those things. It's like I love like being able to provide, gift giving. I'm more like in person. I hate having to communicate through like a phone. Even though my job is through technology and on a phone. But yeah, like all these things are things I notice in time. And I think as you mature, it's just things that like you naturally figure out about yourself that you might not have known when I was like 21. Now I'm 27, you know, so completely different time. Yeah, like when I was younger, it was easy to just like spiral out, or maybe like do things that are not the best for you, and like maybe like fall into drugs or alcohol, whatever. Like as you go up, you're probably able to balance that a bit more. And I realized that. And there was a lot of distractions when I was younger. Like I didn't have the best environment for sure, but I was able to navigate it like in a good way, where I was still able to have fun, but also like very mindful that I have something going on here. And most people don't really get that opportunity when they're younger, and they're trying to figure it out by going to college, going to all these things. I was trying to figure out things that I didn't like, so that I knew what was right in front of me the whole time. Knowing that I didn't have anyone telling me what to do. Like it was always on me, like in terms of my career, at least. Like I have my audience of people that could give me feedback and what they'd like to consume and what they want to see from me. But in terms of maintaining the ship, there was like, yeah, there's my parents that want the best for me, but they don't necessarily understand exactly what I'm doing. So at the end of the day, I'm the one looking in the mirror, telling myself that I have to achieve these goals. I have to be punctual on these timelines. I have to answer to these emails. I have to make sure that I'm good. I have to make sure that my family is good, my friends, whatever it is. Like, I have to do all of that, you know? So without me doing that, then like we were talking about before, it can all just spin out of control. But I want to make sure that it's solid, you know? It's like the down months are super down, you know? Like there's moments where you're not able to do the things that you want to do or that you're accustomed to maybe doing for a multitude of days, weeks, months, whatever may have you. And then you kind of have to adjust and adapt to that because it's not like a predictable every 2 weeks I'm getting this paycheck. Like I might get one hefty one and I have to make sure that I'm smart and able to manage that and be cautious of what I'm consuming and putting in different places. And then there's other months where I'm just like not getting anything, you know? So it's just about being just like responsible. Like it made me grow up really fast, pretty much. Yeah. I was having a conversation with somebody and they had vocalized to me that it felt like it was more of like an interview rather than a conversation. And this was when I was younger. I don't even remember what year it was, but ever since I heard that, I wanted to correct it so badly because a conversation is nothing without a two-way street, you know? And like, I never wanted to be that person that was looked at as like egotistical or like, that's always about me. It was just something I just never realized about myself. And the moment that I picked up on that, I tried to revert it as much as possible. So I guess the process is just being self-aware in itself, but not being afraid to like listen to others and take that constructive criticism and apply it where it's necessary. As humans, I feel like we're always searching for this sense of purpose or like belonging. And without that, we don't have anything to strive for. So I feel like my support system is very fruitful. And yeah, like I've done better more recently in like figuring out the better company to keep around me. And that just always gets stronger and stronger every year that you age and you just refine as a person. But yeah, like my immediate circle is like, not to be cliche, it's so small, but it's like I really do try to frequent around people that I could trust in my immediate friend group. And then with my family, I can't change that, you know? So try to keep the family close. I've lost someone recently. And like just making sure that the people around you are like very supportive and like that you're also not doing them a disservice by being too like overwhelming. You gotta have to know how to manage your own emotions. And that's something that I find I pride myself in a lot. Like I may be holding too much of my emotions, but I've been able to be a bit more round now and like know when to let up and let other people in within right reason. And then, yeah, just kind of have this give and go like of like a very supportive network of people that you trust and hope that they have your best interests and like really helping you through that time. Like I don't have an HR department. I don't have someone telling me to like, yo, like maybe you should take some time off and like just chill out and maybe come back to YouTube or whatever career balancing act you're doing because you need your time. Like you just have to take that time for yourself. And because I have this overlapping factor of me being my person and me being my career, it's hard to remove that from the equation at times. But like literally a couple months ago, I had to take like a month off of YouTube and it like pained me so hard because I'm such like a workaholic, but I really needed to just like not do anything, you know, and just like focus on me and make sure that I was okay. I feel like I'm at a point where I'm very desensitized to clothes. I still have this emotion towards it. Like I've always had that where I could still get that giddy feeling where I'm just like so blinded and stoked by really interesting product that might be from a place of like a feeling that I felt when I was a kid, or maybe an immediate feeling if I'm able to like style it correctly, or I could see it growing with me down the line. Any of those three things. But the feeling that it gives me is like, it's kind of endless. It's been able to transcend over time for so long now. So seeing how that's evolved is really a beautiful one for sure. I have this thing that my dad had taught me when I was like super, super young. And my mom might have said it too. I'll give her credit for that too. But it's something that vividly I remember my dad saying was like, the first thing that people see about you or judge about you is how you look. So making sure that that is like in the fullest form possible is so important. And he said in the same vein, he's like, it might sound very frivolous or like not as important as people might want to tell you. But at the end of the day, us as humans, like that's just what we see and what we judge. So it's up to you to make sure that you're shining the brightest at all times, like making sure that you're at the like top of your game all the time, because that's going to allow you to get into certain rooms that you might not be able to, you know? I think more traveling for sure. I think there's like a lot left of the world I have yet to like unpack and see. And every time I go and do that, it's just like another can of worms that's just like of inspiration that gets cracked open. I think the first high that I got off of that was like going to Japan in May. And then after that, it was just like a snowball effect of just, I need to keep on chasing this because it's doing something for me. And I've never felt anything like that before. And it's like this consistent drive of like, okay, like I don't even think, like, yeah, my mom's never done that before. My dad's never done that. A lot of people around me have never traveled the way that I've been traveling recently. And, like, not a lot of people get those opportunities. So I'm like, I really want to lean into that and go to places that I've always wanted to. I don't know. It's always just like an endless value that comes from experiences that this capitalistic exchange can't really give you. Like I could buy endless amounts of clothes and it could feel cool in the immediate, but if I put that same amount of money towards an experience, it's like 10 times full. Like I would do that in a heartbeat over buying anything now. But that's just the case I'm in now. If I didn't buy what I was buying before, I probably wouldn't be able to do that. So it's like it's a balance. Seeing that and seeing it, how it's been tangible and possible when I was a kid, and then now that I'm older and I'm able to have these opportunities, and then now there's like this intercept of life happening where I'm in similar rooms now and sharing these spaces and maybe even like conversing with these people, or like in certain settings where we're like maybe even having mutual friends and there's like this dialogue or these moments that I never thought could have happened when I was that younger kid, makes me feel like all of this kind of happened for a reason. Like, obviously there was a lot of work that went into that, but when you throw 100 knives at the wall, hopefully one of them sticks, you know what I mean? Like, as an analogy. But I was doing YouTube for 10 years hoping that something would come out of it. And like, after 6 years is when I first started getting paid. So like, seeing that flourish, and it was just like, I never thought anything like that would happen. So like, traveling has been a huge benefit, and like seeing what's possible.